Assalamu alaikum everyone. Here I'm presenting my assignment 2 for CSE487 project Legal Compliance Alliance. So the first question I want to ask that do you really read the terms and conditions displayed in the websites? I'm pretty much sure that you don't. And I think that this will lead both you and me into a disaster in some day for some websites as per shown in the GIF. So let's move on to the next slide. And here you can see that the law we followed is the Personal Data Protection Act 2026. Basically, we first thought that we will follow Cybersecurity Act 2023, but as there we got a new data gadget, there is Personal Data Protection Act 2026, and it was ascended in 10 April 2026 and passed. So that's why we are following this. And for the assignment, the first organization that we tried to pick was our very own East West University. But after observing for eternity, I couldn't find any terms on policy or anything. And that's it. And one of the remarks is that at East West University, we need policies, not just syllabuses. And these are our gangsters, those actually establishing this university without any policy, no privacy policy, no terms and conditions, and nothing, and maybe some data leakage. So the first company that we focused is Jaldal, a very common uh, company that we used for regular grocery shops. And while observing their terms and policy, we found that few inconsistencies that actually does not align with the Personal Data Act 2026, PDPA 2026. And you will see that in their terms and conditions, they said we will not use these to contact you or will be given out to third parties for marketing purposes. So definitely they are spreading our personal information to third-party apps. And again, on deletion, cannot be deleted for up to 3 years. That is mentioned in the terms and policy. And delete the contact information at any time. So there are some inconsistencies in their terms and conditions that violate the PDPA Act 2026. And the second one we chose is for our case study is Oroka. There is an online pharmacy. And here you can see I have added two screenshots from their terms and policy. They have basically two versions. One is written in English and another is written in Bengali. The Bangla reading customer is never told. So then again, here are some inconsistencies that in English there are 15 purposes listed, but in Bengali only 5 and no advertising. And another inconsistencies that we found that user information also includes any prescriptions provided by users. And user informations may be used for delivering personalized information and targeted advertisements. So as it is receiving some very credential data, confidential data like medical data and prescriptions and other personal information. So if there is some data leakage, that is very harmful. And from our observations, that Aroka is not compliant by the PDPA 2026 law. Okay, so I hope that this is not boring and I want to acknowledge your attention. Hope you will continue to till the ending. Now the gap is in the statute, and by mentioning that, I am meaning that in the PDPA Act there are some issues that it is defined. সংবেদনশীল data is defined by what threatens state sovereignty, national security, or economic stability, and they classified here NID, passport, DIN, biometrics, fingerprints, face, IRIS, genetic DNA information, criminal records. But unfortunately, health data is not listed here. Bulk export of NID numbers threatens sovereignty, so it is regulated. Your prescription threatens only you, so it is not. This is a bizarre thing that how they are not focusing on the health data. So this is a gap of the PDPA Act 2026 itself. Now our case study 4, that is BTB, and here is a small GIF for your attention. And we have also added a screenshot of their privacy policy. And upon further analysis, we found that they actually have a different age classification of children. They have said that for 18 years above, and the Bangladesh Act appears nowhere in either document in their documents, and they are not followed by any of the rules. And our case study 5 is 10 minutes school, and they also have two privacy policies, maybe one for their web version and another for their app versions. And there are some inconsistencies too, that they mentioned that the same will be deleted from our servers too. You should not expect us to remove all your personal identifiable information. So in two versions, they are mentioning two different privacy policies. That one is saying that the data, personalized data, will be deleted from their servers, and in another they're saying that all information won't be deleted. So which rules govern you depends on which link you clicked. Not neither has a parental consent mechanism. And the last one is our Bikash, and there are some good news. One company read the act. So far, all the company we have discussed, none of them actually followed PDPA Act 2026 and neither mentioned, and all the terms and conditions policy was very previous and maybe from 2023. Only Bikash is exceptional, and they actually followed the PDPA Act 2026 in some extent, and they mentioned about it. So in their privacy notice, they mentioned about the ব্যক্তিগত উপাত্ত সুরক্ষা আইন, data fiduciary, leads lawful basis, encryption, and secure deletion after retention. And in the terms of use, that is untouched without any prior notice, shall not share, and blah blah. And they also took the permission of camera, photos, contacts, and GPS. The act is never mentioned, so it is also a harmful act and sort of cheat to the customers. So here, one thing to be noted, that this is the same company, same month, but two standards for two different versions. And finally, if we want to sum up, that there are some failures in terms of three shifts. For 10-minute schools, they have two policies, two standards. For Arabka, two language, two standards. For Bikash, two document types, two standards. And the Act imposes no duty to assert your own copyright. Every policy does it clearly. And again, I am seeking your attention. Hold on just 2 minutes more. Hope it will be completed within that time. And here is the sum up that our study from our study. We have asked several questions to the AI agents, and we tried to classify with some number like 0, 1, 2. If they are compliant with the questions, then we tried to put 2. If they have some partial answer, then we put 1, and if they are totally ignored that part, that we put 0 on them. And here you can see some output of our study. And we asked actually three AIs. One is GPT, Gemini, and the other is Claude. And according to our findings, that we feel that in some cases AIs actually fluctuate from their responses. And in some examples, like demonstrated here, that question 0 to purpose limitations, GPT put 2, Gemini 1, and Claude verified it with 1. So LLMs actually hallucinate sometimes and showed some inconsistency between them. So it was one of our finding that AI narrowed the reading, but it did not do the reading. So both tools scored purpose limitations, neither flagged that prescriptions feed advertising, and etc. So our core finding is that they actually differed in some criteria. And here is a gist summary of our findings of Chaldal, Arabka, 10-minute school, and Bikash PTV. So here are some details. I'm not going through them as for the time limitations. And lastly, I want to sum up that Bikash proves it can be done, that we can follow, or any organization can follow the PDPA Act. However, there were some inconsistencies, but as I have already mentioned, that their policy was very closer to PDPA Act 2026, and they mentioned it exceptionally. So definitely hats off to Bikash. And it was all my presentations and the finding. If I want to sum up with a small sentence, that Bikash was definitely best among all of them, and the remainder, all four had some inconsistencies in their privacy policy and terms and conditions. That's it. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.